So today I want to talk about staying sane in the face of public hate. So first comes the shock, especially when it's unexpected and you're scrolling along on socials and boom, there's a post that shows you firsthand the Nazi salute made by a tiny group of self-proclaimed neo-Nazis holding a hateful sign aimed at people who are trans. No, not in America, here in Australia, in Melbourne. Now just pause and take a breath. Don't go Googling that image. There are some things that you can't unsee. And even if you've never seen that image yet, or hopefully you never will, even if you have already seen it, just knowing that it's out there and it is happening, that it happened in this day and age can be shocking. So stay with me and take my hand as we make our way through queer self-care and back to sanity together. So the first stage is about moving through shock, and there are four main stages to shock. And the first stage is called the compensatory stage, in which the body tries to compensate for what's happening by increasing our heart rate, for example. And when we unexpectedly come across a display of public hate, our palms can sweat and our fight or flight or freeze mechanism kicks in and we react. And if you're a fighter, your reaction to seeing this display of public hate can include like exclaiming out loud, your blood's boiling, and you're immediately wanting to comment back or hunt them down. In other words, to retaliate and fight back. And if your reaction is flight, then you might just put down your phone or scroll ahead and hope that your brain doesn't compute what you've just seen. And if you're freeze, you can find yourself staring at that image in disbelief and time is just being suspended. So notice your reaction. Are you someone who by default goes into fight, flight, or freeze? If you're a fighter, your first remedy is close at hand, your breath. So pause, take a deep breath. You can even place your hand on your belly and breathe into your hand. So you should feel your belly expand as you breathe in and lower as you breathe out. Do you go into flight? So if you go into flight, your first remedy is to pause and notice your surroundings. Notice that nothing bad is happening right now in this present moment. Now, obviously, if you are in immediate danger, the flight response is an appropriate reaction and you should exit. Otherwise, here we are, nothing bad is happening. You can take 3 deep and slow breaths and remind yourself that all is well. Have you frozen? If you're one of the people who freezes, your first remedy is through the breath as well. You're going to take 2 short, sharp inhalations through the nose and 1 long exhalation, and repeat this for a total of 3 times. You could gently wriggle your fingers, gently wriggling your toes to return to your body and to this present moment. And if you'd like some more guidance and support with this, then you might be interested in my free 3-part video series. It's on the 3 easy steps to soothe your reaction. And you'll learn to reduce stress, find healthier coping strategies, and develop a deeper understanding of your emotions. So you can go to www.danikalani.com/soothe for that one. And if the underlying cause of shock is not addressed, then the body enters this second stage of shock, the progressive stage. And this is where you can feel the blood draining away from your face. So understanding the situation and putting things into perspective can help. So some remedies for shock. Number 1 at this stage, start with the facts. What are the facts? Okay, approximately 20 people gave a Nazi salute on the steps of Parliament House in Victoria and held up signage with character assassinating and abusive verbiage towards transgender people. Now, there are currently 5.2 million people living in Melbourne, Victoria. So this percentage of people is a mere 0.00384615385% of the population. Getting related to the facts in this way can help put things into perspective. Now, this doesn't mean that their actions weren't damaging. Public hate can have serious social, political, and economic consequences and can lead to increased discrimination, violence, and exclusion of the targeted group from society. In this case, people who are transgendered, with a ripple effect onto all LGBTQIA plus people, and of course, groups of Jewish people who have also been persecuted. But it can help to put things into perspective and realize that these people are small fry, using provocative tactics which result in a lot of noise. That's what they're counting on. Remedy number 2, know that what you resist persists. So public hate relies on fuel, and its fuel is attention. The amount of noise and counter noise it can provoke fuels the conversation. The more attention granted, the more the conversation can travel. Look, it's not necessary to have everybody agree with your point of view to have the conversation disappear. The more you add to the conversation, the longer it sticks around and the hotter it can burn, causing severe damage to the community. Step number 3 is remember your core values. So one of the core values we often say is important to us as an LGBTQIA plus community is diversity. And this is intended to include marginalized groups. But as people who stand for diversity, then we need to remain true to allowing diversity to exist. Diversity includes all different points of view, every single opinion, and all walks of life. Now, to be clear, being able to be with diversity does not mean condoning, tolerating, or succumbing to hate. And it also doesn't mean remaining silent or passive. But just know that hate doesn't work for the person expressing it as well as for the person receiving it. And often the person expressing it is too preoccupied with being right that they cannot see the impact on themselves and the disconnect from other human beings that leaves them severed and cut off. It's like they are drinking the poison and hoping that the other person dies. It doesn't work. It can also be useful to understand that only people who feel powerless turn to force. Number 4, applying appropriate consequences. So every action has a consequence in life. If you don't feel like going to work, you don't have to because you're an adult. Now, there will be a consequence, however, if you don't go to work when you don't feel like it over and over again. And that consequence is losing your job. That's how the world works. Okay, so ask yourself, what is the outcome I want here? In this case, legislation to ban the Nazi salute is an appropriate consequence. However, getting into debates with strangers online is not an appropriate consequence. It is a misguided use of your precious, vital life energy and will not produce the outcome that you're looking for. So take a break. It's an essential to take a break from social media when the hate becomes too much. Step away from your computer, put down your device, take a walk, or engage in other hobbies, even just for a little while. Doing so can help you regain your strength and clear your head. If you don't, and you find yourself pulled into a back and forth conflict, this could take you into the 4th stage of shock, which is the irreversible stage. This is where your actions are causing damage both to yourself and to other people who are witnessing. This is time to call on your support network. So surround yourself with people who get you. You know those people, the ones that you can be wholly and completely yourself with, completely free to be. It's important to protect your mental health. Be conscious of the impact that hate might be having on you, which can negatively affect the quality of your mental well-being. So taking proactive measures to protect yourself, such as speaking to a therapist, engaging in mindful practices, or seeking some other professional help is really appropriate. Again, if you do find yourself being pulled into an online conversation that fuels hate, pause for a moment and reach out to one of those trusted friends. If you can't think of one right now, that's okay. Q Life is a peer-to-peer support service that provides confidential support and referrals for LGBTQIA plus people. So contact them on web chat or at 1-800 184527. Or you can just look them up on Google. Okay, so how to have difficult conversations. Now that we've made it through the initial stages of shock when witnessing public hate, let's move on to how to react when you are having a difficult conversation with someone. We've all had these conversations with other people when there's been something that's been deeply important to us. And often when we want to be on our best behavior, we're on our worst behavior. In their book, Crucial Conversations, the authors explain that when a conversation turns from being a casual conversation to being a crucial conversation with something important at stake, our body starts pumping adrenaline to the brain, which causes all kinds of sorts of chemical reactions to fire. And it's the same when someone in front of us starts to have adrenaline pumping to their brain. Our bodies will actually match that by pumping adrenaline to our brains. So now you have two people not seeing clearly. Crucial Conversations is a comprehensive guide for navigating challenging conversations in all areas of life. They give practical tools and strategies for handling these conversations, including staying calm, checking your own motives, and focusing on mutual goals. And the book also emphasizes the importance of a respectful dialogue, active listening, and creating a safe environment so that you can have that open communication. For right now, here are some further tips on how to react when you're having a difficult conversation with somebody. Number one, staying calm. So take a deep breath, stay calm, and be composed during the conversation. Don't let your emotions take over. Now, this is easier said than done, but there's often a window where you can take 2 quick breaths in and 1 breath out 3 times. And this is a sure way to short circuit the brain and soothe your nervous system. 2, listen attentively. So listen to what the other person has to say without interrupting. Hear them out and try to understand their point of view. Again, easier said than done. There are many ways that we don't listen, even when we look like we're listening. Notice when you are rehearsing what to say next in your head and see if you can put that aside and just be with the other person. Number 3, empathize. Try to put yourself in their shoes and understand why they feel a certain way. Show empathy and acknowledge their feelings. You might even repeat back what they have said, not in a robotic way, but in a way where you can feel what they are feeling and reflect that back to them. So where are my empaths? So just watch out here that you don't overabsorb their feelings, rendering yourself helpless. So don't go too deep, my friend, okay? Number 4 is keep an open mind. It's important to keep an open mind and be receptive to other perspectives, especially when you don't agree. Number 5, ask questions. So asking questions to clarify any misunderstandings and to gain a better understanding of the situation can be helpful. 6, be respectful. Show respect and avoid using inflammatory language or making personal attacks. That's foundational. And 7, find some common ground. Okay, so looking for common ground and try to find a way to resolve the issue in a way that works for both parties. Remember, difficult conversations can be tough, but they can also be productive if approached with the right mindset and tactics. So one of my earliest queer mentors was the queer officer at my university, Shiloh Curtis. And she took me and my first girlfriend, both fresh from the country, under her wing and made life so safe and welcoming for us. And it was the late 90s, and we traveled by train to attend Queer Collaborations as a student conference in Brisbane. And one of our actions was to travel into the heart of redneck country in Ipswich, Queensland, where we held a peaceful queer kiss-in picnic. And when we arrived, there were about 15 or so counter-protesters holding up signs that said things like Adam and Steve. I mean, oops, other way around, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And I will never forget seeing Shiloh speak to the protesters one by one and watching in complete awe as they packed away their signs and drove home. It was so moving. And, you know, sure, there were a couple of stayers who would not give up their right to be right, but I was stunned by how calm and effective she was and how she related to them as simply another human being with things that mattered to them. And she demonstrated that it's possible to peacefully and respectfully, even with love, produce the outcome that you're committed to. So if you are attending an in-person action and being in the firing line would do too much damage to your person, here are some additional tips on how to avoid violence during a public demonstration. So firstly, plan ahead. Before attending a public demonstration, plan ahead by researching the location, time, and the participants involved. If possible, register to participate with the organisers to have an understanding of what the demonstration is about and the planned route. Secondly, keeping calm, stay calm. Keeping a calm mind and positive attitude can go a long way in avoiding violence. Avoiding engaging in verbal and physical altercations, and if confronted by someone, try to stay calm and de-escalate the situation. Avoid highly charged areas. So during a demonstration, try to avoid those highly charged areas, such as areas where police and protesters are in direct confrontation. And if possible, stay towards the back of the demonstration away from potential danger, if that's appropriate for you. Also, stay aware of your surroundings. So being aware of your surroundings is critical during a public demonstration. Keep an eye out for aggressive behavior and disruptive activity or suspicious individuals, and if necessary, just move to a safer location. Make sure you have a plan of action. It's always good to have a plan of action in case violence breaks out. Know the location of the nearest exit or safe area and have a designated meeting spot in case of separation from friends or family. It's important to document incidents. If you observe or experience any incident of violence or police brutality, document it by taking photos or recording video. Report it to the organisers or authorities and share it on social media to spread awareness if appropriate. And then lastly, follow the law. It's important to follow the law during a demonstration to avoid any legal repercussions. Avoid engaging in illegal activities or provoking the police. And if arrested, follow police instructions and don't resist arrest. What matters most is that you know yourself and that you know what you need to do to take care of yourself. You're no good to anyone, least of all yourself, if you get taken out, rendered useless, or unable to take appropriate action. And we need you. The people around you need you. We need each other. How do I know this? I've had over 25 years of experience as someone who is committed to making a difference, and I've explored many ways of being an activist. I've been there and I'm right here with you now. So be kind. Just a reminder, don't forget to download your free video series on 3 easy steps to soothe your reaction. And it's designed specifically for you with proven techniques. You can learn to relax, reduce stress, and take control of your emotions and reactions, whether you are in fight, flight, or freeze. Take care.